Tonight, the point guard who helped start the Duke dynasty, winning their first 2 national championships. His number 11 retired in the rafters. Bobby Hurley makes his first return to Cameron Indoor Stadium as a head coach of the Arizona State Sun Devils. He will face off against the number 1 recruit in the country, Cooper Flagg. Tonight, this is his final tune-up before the start of the regular season. Number 7, it's the Duke Blue Devils here at Cameron Indoor Stadium, hosting the Arizona State Sun Devils in the Brotherhood Run charity exhibition game benefiting Duke's Children's Hospital. What's up, everybody? Welcome inside. Alongside my partner, he is Corey Alexander. I'm John Schriffen. Well, it was absolute goosebumps pregame as Coach Krzyzewski, Jon Scheyer, and Bobby Hurley all meeting at center court. The first time Bobby Hurley coming back as a head coach.
And Bobby Hurley was filled with emotions, and he's a tough, competitive guy, but you can see that he was a little bit filled with emotions after being celebrated by this Duke fan base the way he was pregame. And you know that he's looking forward to competing on this floor as he did so well from 1989 to 1993. 2-time national champion. Left the game as Division I's all-time leader in assists. We showed the jersey earlier. The number 11 hangs in the rafters.
Well, the Cameron Crazy certainly went crazy for Bobby Hurley, but they're also very excited about this man, the number 1 recruit in the country, Cooper Flagg.
And Cooper Flagg is as good as advertised. You talk about the ability to play in transition and not only be the facilitator, but also be the finisher. Cooper Flagg has every tool in the bag of a basketball player you want to see. And most importantly, his fierce competitiveness makes him the top of the charts in college basketball as a freshman.
It is all love pregame as everyone is excited for the return of Bobby Hurley. But Corey, once they tip it up, it's game on. These two are going to go at it.
Jon Scheyer made it clear to us earlier that once the ball goes up in the air, it's no longer a celebration. It's about let's play basketball and let's see what each of these teams has as they get closer to the beginning of the regular season.
An important game for both of these teams to see what type of a team they have. We talked to Jon Scheyer and said, what kind of a feel do you have right now? He said, we're still trying to figure out our rotation. That's why tonight is so important for Duke.
This Duke Blue Devil team could very well be the most talented team in the country when you consider college basketball. But the task that Jon Scheyer has with having 11 guys that he can throw out there at any time, finding a rotation, games like this, exhibition games, give him an opportunity to work on just that.
This is also a very high-level Arizona State team. They come in with a very high-rated recruit, Jaden Quaintance, as Sean Phillips will jump it up with Kamen Malawach. Ball is tipped out of bounds, and it'll be Duke possession to start this game here inside Cameron Indoor Stadium. Our officials tonight, Roger Ayers, Bert Smith, and Doug Sermons, top officials here for this exhibition game.
Absolutely. The ACC bringing them all out here for an exhibition game and getting everyone in shape as we see Caleb Foster handling the basketball, who will move to the primary ball handler for the Blue Devils this season.
Corey, early on, what are you looking for offensively from Duke?
Well, you want to see them be able to get the basketball inside. That's one of the areas where Cooper Flagg has been special. And we see Kamen Malawach with the finish. He did not start the first exhibition game, but in the starting lineup tonight and paying dividends to Jon Scheyer early.
Alston Mason will run the show for the Sun Devils. They're going to try to look inside to their freshman sensation. Quaintance trying to post it up. He's guarded by Flagg, the good denial. It's Mason with the jumper, knocking it down, and Bobby Hurley is very excited about his senior transfer from Missouri State because he does provide that scoring touch.
Well, I tell you what, Bobby Hurley's always going to be excited about a point guard. One thing for certain, you got to have a great point guard, and you got to have a great player like Cooper Flagg is, as you see him finish early, getting to the rim, getting fouled, an opportunity. As you see Flagg attacking the basket, going to the rim, the ability to finish with the opposite hand, and the strength. Cooper Flagg, remember, ladies and gentlemen, he's 17 years old, doesn't turn 18 until December, reclassed up. He should be a senior in high school right now.
All right, you know grassroots basketball better than anyone. You have seen Cooper Flagg and known his family since 7th grade. What makes him so special?
His competitive nature. One thing for certain, he never takes a play off. You'll notice Cooper tries to block every shot, and he's been that way forever. He's elite athletically. His skill level is high, but it's what's between the ears that makes him different from everyone else.
That is just swatted. Malawach at 7'2" from South Sudan, making his presence felt.
And Malawatch coming over, denying Quaintance. Jaden Quaintance has the ability to go off the bounce. Does a great job getting his shoulders past Cooper Flagg. However, the help was there.
There's the turnover. Caleb Foster, Cooper Flagg, 2-on-1. Missed the lay-in, and it's Arizona State trying to corral it inside. Con Knipple. As Mason comes away with it for the Sun Devils. Outside three off the mark.
And you got to imagine Quaintance wants to play well. He's a North Carolina native, so this is a great opportunity for him.
Look out! Cooper Flagg rising up. And he will draw the foul on the big man, Sean Phillips. Jon Scheyer in his third season as the head coach of Duke. You talked about it. He said, this is the deepest team I have ever had, but also the most top-heavy team with the top-end talent, starting with Cooper Flagg.
Well, and also when you consider the fact that, you know, you've got the top-end talent as freshmen. So now you got to figure out, I mean, again, this is a deep team, Duke is, but there are some guys that have earned their roles already as freshmen. Not only Cooper Flagg, but also Con Knipple. He made it clear to us that Con is one of the guys who's been one of their best players in practice every day as we get a look at Cooper Flagg's player profile. The 2022 USA Basketball Male Athlete of the Year. And, of course, everyone knows about what he did in Vegas this summer. By the way, a guy from USA Basketball by the name of Grant Hill is in attendance today, you know, checking out the young prospect.
There's a lot of stars in the building. This is a monster game. It's an exhibition, but it is still a big game with the return of Bobby Hurley. BJ Freeman throws it high off the glass. That was affected by Malawatch. And it'll be Duke basketball.
But you also see Malawatch and Cooper Flagg both contesting that shot as we get a look at Grant Hill, whose jersey hangs beside Bobby Hurley's, was retired almost 1 year later, 364 and a half days, as you see the difference between February the 28th and 27th. Make sure it wasn't a leap year, because it could be 365 if it was a leap year.
Caleb Foster, the sophomore out of Harrisburg, North Carolina, he's one of those guys that I feel like he is flying under the radar as Malawatch finishes inside. There's so many top guards in the country, but Foster does a great job running the show for the Blue Devils.
And Caleb Foster was injured the latter part of the season last year, so a resurgence for him getting back in the starting lineup. But he had big games for the Blue Devils last year, specifically against Michigan State, where he was the star in their win over the Spartans.
Bashir Jihad off the bench. He's the transfer from Ball State, and he will be fouled by Tyrese Proctor, his first. Jihad is a guy who comes over as a senior. He said he has a lot of great skills, high IQ. And Bobby Hurley, remember, he was a coach at Buffalo for 2 years. He said, I know how good the level is in the MAC. And he said the top players in the MAC, they can transfer over to big-time basketball.
Absolutely. And it's hard to imagine. It's been 10 years since Bobby Hurley was a coach in the MAC. I can remember going to Buffalo, hanging out with Bobby, doing a feature on him when he was the head coach at Buffalo. But this is the 10th year he's been at Arizona State. So, of course, going back to his MAC days and hitting the transfer portal to bring in Jihad.
4-point lead for Duke early on, opening minutes here inside Cameron Indoor Stadium. There's Knipple rising up, missing the three, and he gets his own miss. Freeman, the transfer from University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, throws that one away to Foster. Foster with a man on his hip, and he lays it in.
That's the difference between being a freshman and being a sophomore. You saw the bump that Caleb Foster takes going to the basket. However, it doesn't throw him off his line. Still able to get his feet under him and finish it for two. He wouldn't have made that play last season.
Here's Miller, the only returning starter for Arizona State, a senior from Peoria, Illinois. Going against Cooper Flagg, crossed him over, rising up, too strong. And nothing but white jerseys on the rebound.
And that's Adam Miller's first missed three in this building. He played here as a freshman at Illinois, was 3 for 3 from beyond the arc. He told us about that today. So that's the first missed three from Adam playing against Duke in Cameron.
It's funny how players always remember what they do inside this building.
Absolutely.
Cooper Flagg turnaround jumper. That's good D by Jaden Quaintance. What a night here in Durham, North Carolina. Bobby Hurley, his first return as a head coach, and he talks to Corey Alexander when we come back.
Okay, so Bobby Hurley back on campus at Duke University. What's that feeling like for you? You've only been here one time since you retired from playing basketball. Tell me about that time first.
Well, it was a couple of years after I left Duke, and it was still too fresh, I think. I was still thinking like I was a player and not just a fan. It was hard to sit in the crowd and sit through a game, so I think it'd be a lot more natural and easy for me now to come back to Cameron Indoor and watch my my alma mater play. But unfortunately, I'm in season when they are, so I don't get a chance to come back here at all.
Well, a great chance for you to come back tonight and get a chance for really them to celebrate you. When you think about this, all that is Duke. You were one of the pioneers for this. You won the first national championship. You had it out and won back-to-back. So when you think about that and you see what Duke is now, how much pride do you have because you had such a large part of that?
Well, there was so much work done before I got to Duke, and we a lot of heavy lifting, and we were able to break through, and it was exciting times to put a Duke jersey on, that's for sure. And just playing with great players like Christian Laettner, Grant Hill, and Thomas Hill, Brian Davis, all the guys we had. It was special to play with that group, and so I take a lot of pride in that. And I think this is a great concept. I'm very happy that John did this for me. I get a chance to say goodbye to Cameron Indoor, and I think it would be something that Duke does in the future with former players that are still in coaching. It makes a ton of sense to do it. It's for a great cause with the Duke Children's Hospital.
He was so excited when we spoke to him in shoot-around, just the experience for himself. His family is here, and his players, a lot of guys playing in Cameron Indoor for the first time, as that one is swatted by Quaintance.
And Arizona State actually brought a number of their fans and friends of the program over to tour Cameron Indoor. Had dinner with Coach K last night, and Duke pulled out all the stops for Bobby coming back, which they rightfully should. I mean, again, you're talking about one of the best players to ever play the game, and more importantly, left the game as the all-time leader, over 1,000 assists in his career. Now, mind you, he was playing with some great players, but you got to make some great plays to be able to walk away with that type of record.
Think about it. This is the man who was part of the group that started it all here at Duke, those first two national championships in 91 and 92.
And if Duke is going to get back to the national championship level, it's going to be some of these guys that are in the game right now. You see 3 guys out of the transfer portal for the Duke Blue Devil. Mason Gillis coming over from Purdue, Sion James, and then, of course, Malik Brown, who was all ACC defensive team and led the ACC in steals a season ago at Syracuse, now in a Blue Devil uniform.
Well, the offense has been an issue for Arizona State to start this game. No field goals since the 1920 mark. As we take a look at the transfer list for Jon Scheyer and Duke, I had Sion James at Tulane for a bunch of years at the American. They used to call this young man the president because they feel like one day he is so put together, so composed that he is going to be the president of the United States.
Wow, that's high praise right there. But you consider the fact that when you look at this team, Jon Scheyer has a great mix of talented freshmen, returners. When you think about the starting backcourt, with Caleb Foster and Tyrese Proctor returning. But then you get someone like Malik Brown to come from Syracuse to Duke, an all-ACC defensive team member, someone who understands what it's like to be successful in this league. And, of course, a uniform swap, but now coming to what is one of the most talented teams in the country, if not the most talented team.
Jon Scheyer talked about that in shoot-around with us, and he said all these guys who came over, they could get big minutes and a lot of shots at other places, but they chose to come to Duke and buy into the system. He said this summer for us was all about finding chemistry and building it, and he talked to each one of those guys, and they told him, Coach, we are bought in, we are here as a team.
And you have to be, because when you consider, I mean, right now they have 11 guys that could be stars anywhere. As Cooper Flagg comes off showing off that much improved shooting touch. But you can't play 11 guys. Well, at least Jon Scheyer doesn't think so. Leonard Hamilton might think so. But when you consider trying to play that many guys, and it's hard to play that many guys when you have someone this good. When you've got a guy like Cooper Flagg, he needs 30-plus minutes a game. You got to have him on the floor showing off his ability to shoot the basketball. It's hard to play that many guys when you have such high-end talent at the top that you've got to get minutes for.
You know, it's also hard. They don't exactly have any leeway with their schedule to start this regular season for Duke. Normally you have, a few games you can kind of ease in and experiment and try to figure things out. That's not the case this year for Jon Scheyer.
Sink or swim, my friend. That's it. Let's jump in the deep end. Sink or swim. We're going to find out one way or another, but I believe it's going to benefit them down the stretch and will allow Jon Scheyer to understand who are the guys that he can play. You see this non-conference schedule. November 12th, you got Kentucky. Arizona, November 22nd, Kansas, Auburn. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And again, you're going to play in a high-quality ACC regular season schedule. So we're not even talking about that yet because the first conference games will happen right after the Auburn game.
An early 6-point lead here for Duke. We played 6 minutes as that one off the mark, pulled down by Knipple. Into the corner as Mason Gillis, the grad transfer from Purdue, missing the shot. Arizona State brought in a ton of shooters, but Bobby Hurley said in their first scrimmage against UC Irvine, they did not show the touch from the outside, and he said they're still trying to find their identity offensively.
Well, and again, when you think about this Duke defense coming in, playing against all the switching that Jon Scheyer wants them to do, and there's a guy who doesn't have a hard time finding his shooting touch off on that one. But when you play against this Duke team defensively, and Jon Scheyer's first year, that's really what was their calling card, their defense and their rebounding. They slipped a little bit last year from a defensive standpoint, but I believe they'll be back this year, considering that there will be no one that he puts on the floor under 6'5". And so you have the ability to switch everything and put a lot of pressure on the passing lanes, similar to the way it was done back in 1991, 92 when Bobby Hurley and Grant Hill were winning national championships. And I can never say that without mentioning Christian Laettner. I'm tripping for that.
That was 17-year-old Jaden Quaintance. He was a guy who originally committed to Kentucky, and then when Calipari decided to take the job, oh my goodness! Common Malawach.
I just knew you were going to say, oh, my Lawach.
There's time. It's still the preseason. There is time.
Okay, you warm it up.
There are athletes all over the floor for Duke. They are long, they are bouncy, and they are a problem defensively. Someone lost a shoe. That's Nunez behind the play as laying it in is Kon Knipple, the freshman from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who Jon Scheyer has been one of the top players in practice every single day. He has earned a starting spot.
And he's the guy. Kon has a chip on his shoulder. He was not selected to be a McDonald's All-American, and playing the game with Jaden Quaintance and Cooper Flagg and Isaiah Evans were in that game. So he's going to play with that chip on his shoulder all year long. I mean, you consider a young man who can absolutely shoot the basketball, but they have said he's even better than we thought he was coming in.
Ali from deep, and the cold shooting start continues. Missed layup there by Ali, and Knipple coming the other way. Nice pass finding Gillis all alone for the lay-in. Knipple sure doesn't play like a freshman.
He does not, and that's one of the things the coaching staff told us earlier. He just seems so far ahead from a basketball IQ standpoint, and he shows up every day and is consistent, and that's not something you often see with freshmen. Freshmen normally have their ups and downs, but they have two guys that they can count on at the freshman class consistently to show up every day.
Quaintance did a nice job staying on the ground as Arizona State finds themselves down by 10. And another turnover, a travel called against Mason. 6th turnover in this first half by the Sun Devils.
If you don't know the name, Common Malawach, watch me. Oh, watch me. You know what it is, Shrimp. You know what it is.
Corey Alexander will be here all night. Top recruit in the country, Cooper Flagg, showing off his moves early on.
Cooper attacking the basket, the strength to be able to finish through contact. But it hasn't been just about Cooper. The freshmen have accounted for 14 of the 18 points for the Blue Devils. You think Kamen Malawach, you think about Kanka Nipple. These guys have gotten involved in the offensive output for the Blue Devils here early in this one, but Duke's defense has truly been the star here for the first 9 minutes.
The #1 recruiting class in the country, and 3 freshmen already showing why here at Duke. A jump ball as Quaintance gets his hands in there to tie it up, and it'll be possession arrow going to Arizona State.
And one of the things you see right now, the 2 youngest players in Division I basketball on the floor, the youngest guy, Jaden Quaintance, and then Cooper Flagg, the second youngest. But Cooper is draft eligible this year because his birthday is late December. And so as long as you turn 19 within the calendar year as to when you're drafted, you can play in the NBA. Jaden Quaintance will not be draft eligible because he doesn't turn 18 until July of 2025, which means that he will be, we can't say he'll be in college for 2 years. We don't know where he'll be, but he won't be in the NBA for another 2 seasons.
Proctor rising up. Did not draw iron, so the shot clock continues to tick. It's at 10. In and out dribble, getting to the hole. Tough pass inside, and it stays with Duke. 6 on the shot clock.
A great job by Quaintance, sliding his feet, staying in front of the guard, and Proctor not giving him an opportunity to score in the painted area. And Jaden Quaintance will be a guy that's talked about a lot this year. He can be one of the elite freshmen in the country. Ranked number 17, but remember, I'm really reclassed up 2 years. And so you're talking about a young talent that Bobby Hurley and his staff are so excited to have on their roster.
Knipple, head fake into the paint. But it's Miller coming away. Arizona State try to get back in this game down 10. Freeman, as Malawach just takes it over the top of Quaintance. Pick and roll, freshman to freshman. Another freshman, Cooper Flagg, one dribble, puts it up. You played inside this building so many times. What is it about Cameron Indoor Stadium that makes this place so special?
Well, I tell you this, and I was having the conversation with my guys, Nick Irvin, with Jerrance Howard, the assistant coaches for Arizona State early today, and they asked me, they said, "You win in this building?" I was like, yeah, I won 2 out of 3 playing here. But the one I remember the most is the beating we took by the 1992 National Championship team, and Bobby Hurley out there teaching me a lesson as to how to play the point guard position in this league. But what makes it so special is the educated fans. And you think about how much they love basketball, but more importantly, how much they love their team. And they know so much about them, what makes them work, what makes them click, as Caleb Foster's able to step up and knock down the 3.
Adam Miller trying to come back, but it's Darren Harris, the freshman from Herndon, Virginia, trying to go coast to coast, had it tied up, and he lost it. Duke on a 9-0 run right now. Nice spin move, watch out. Jaden Quaintance, just 17 years old.
And that's why Bobby Hurley and his staff are so high on Jaden. You see his ability to handle the basketball and make plays, but with that size and frame, he is dangerous with the ball in his hands.
Foster with the penetration.
Jaden Quaintance with the spin move, splitting 2 Duke defenders and getting to the rim. No resistance there, able to finish it off. And that's a young man that you're going to hear a lot about as this season goes along, because he's going to continue to get better and better each and every time out.
So I was talking earlier how he was originally signed to Kentucky. Coach Cal decided to leave, and he got out of his letter of intent. Arizona State got in the picture. They said, we came up with the NIL money and got him here. And he's the top recruit, the highest recruit they've ever had at Arizona State.
When you first see Quaintance, you see how physically mature he is at 17 years old. But then you look at the 7'3" wingspan, and the skill that he has on the perimeter that allows him to be so special.
Where's the offense going to come from for the Sun Devils? As a foul and a timeout on the floor. Grant Hill in the house, and he will be on the mic when we come back from this quick break. Welcome back to Duke alongside Corey Alexander. I'm John Schriffen. Both jerseys up on the rafter, Bobby Hurley, Grant Hill, and we are pleased to be joined by the legend himself, Grant. Thank you for spending some time with us. What is this like for you this night, experiencing the return of Bobby Hurley?
Well, it's incredible. I mean, obviously so many great memories here in this gym, and I had a chance to share with Bobby. And I was here the last time he was in Cameron, and I figured now coming back as a coach, I wanted to be here to support him. And but just great memories. We were able to do some incredible things, and just honored to call him a teammate and a friend.
And, G, you made a special trip to be here for Bobby, but also to come check out the prize freshman who you already have a relationship in, Cooper Flagg. Tell America what they're going to see with Cooper Flagg this year, because you know him very well.
Yeah, no, I live in Orlando. Cooper played the last few years at Mount Verde in Orlando, and got a chance to know him then. He played this summer with us with the Olympic team on the select team. He has the mentality of a great player, a guy who is competitive. He plays incredibly hard, super athletic, wants to be great. You know, I'll let you in a little secret. He told me a while ago his favorite player was Christian Laettner. And I'm thinking, you're too young to know who Christian Laettner is, but he's here at Duke now, and obviously wants to do great things this year, and will have a great career in front of him after he leaves Duke as well.
Yeah, and Coops, of course, he loves Christian Laettner, but I can tell you Kelly Flagg is actually Christian Laettner's biggest fan, so you know Kelly very well, and she absolutely adores Christian Laettner. But we think about, and we talk about late, the first time I met Bobby Hurley, my first year at Virginia, yourself, Bobby Hurley, Christian Laettner, Brian Davis, you guys show up on grounds at UVA and walk in a football game like y'all rock stars. I mean, I'm going to need you to explain yourself. What about winning a national championship made you guys feel like y'all could just come on to everybody else's campus and take over?
I didn't know you were going there. But yeah, no, we showed up the fall of '91 right before practice started at UVA, and I had a good time. And when we left, we said we'll be back here in a few months. And we'll have a good time then, too.
You absolutely did, for the record. I can remember 2 whoopings that year from that 92 national championship team.
Hey, John, I just have a question. I mean, you know, Corey never passed the ball. He shot the ball all the time. That's all I remember him doing, is shooting the ball at UVA. And I can't believe he let me come on. He threw an assist by having me come on during this segment.
Well, so with my role, I just throw it up for Corey and just let him take it wherever he wants. I know what happens.
Well, Grant and I were teammates in Orlando, believe it or not, but neither one of us were playing because we were both injured.
That's
so
true.
We didn't have to worry about passing each other the ball then.
Grant, I'm sure so many kids come up to you and ask, what does it take to be a special basketball player, a Duke basketball player? Can you describe what it takes to be one of the greats here at Duke?
Well, I think you have to win. I think you have to, have a commitment to excellence, hard work, discipline. Obviously, there's values that are important to this program, and we've had so many great players through the year. We talk about the brotherhood, and you go all the way back to Johnny Dawkins, who really got things going. That first big-time commitment to Coach K back in 1982, and just a list of great players who wanted to be coached, wanted to be challenged, wanted to play at a high level. And it just continues. Cooper Flagg's here, and certainly this great young class. And I'm hearing there's another great class coming in next year. So the brotherhood just keeps on rolling.
And you speak of the brotherhood. You've got this brotherhood run that's happening tonight, but you also mentioned Johnny Dawkins and as well as Tommy Amaker, that backcourt from really the team, the class that saved Coach K, that DMV backcourt. Would you like to see this brotherhood run continue, bringing back Johnny, bringing back, Tommy?
I like what they're doing here, having this exhibition game, bringing back, Bobby Hurley, a really strong Arizona State team. There's so many former Duke players who are coaching now. I think having Harvard, having UCF, Chris Collins is out there. Obviously, Jeff Capel and Pitt, they see each other in the ACC regular season. But I like what they've done this year, raising money and getting a chance for some good competition early in the season.
Grant Hill, we appreciate you joining us, man. Enjoy the rest of this night. It is a special night here at Cameron Indoor Stadium.
I appreciate you guys. And, John, just, make sure Corey lets you talk a little bit more, okay?
Good advice from a legend. Corey, you hear that?
I hear it, but the worst thing is I'm normally saying his name because he's texting me while I'm talking during games. So I'm always talking to him when I'm doing Duke games.
That is true. I won't text you anymore during games, I promise.
No, don't promise, because you are still going to continue to do it.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you guys. All right.
Grant Hill, one of the best to ever do it. Backdoor. Nice job. Adam Miller getting his hand on that one.
One of my all-time favorite Blue Devils, and we happen to be along the same era. He and Jeff Capel, of course, at the top of the list, but was at Big 12 Media Day on Wednesday. My favorite all-time Blue Devil, Johnny Dawkins. I mean, again, when you go back and you think about what Duke is today, Johnny Dawkins, Mark Allery, those were the two guys that really started. Tommy Amaker coming in the following year, and that backcourt of Tommy and Johnny together playing in the 1986 National Championship. That group right there is the reason why Duke basketball is what it is today. And so, Johnny Dawkins gets a lot of credit. I would love, and John Shire told us, he said, we got to get Johnny back. So we will hopefully see this brotherhood run continue moving forward, bringing Johnny Dawkins in the same scenario.
And the best part, it's for a great cause, as Cooper Flagg rising up his 3 off the mark. The proceeds for tonight's exhibition game go to Duke's Children's Hospital.
I left out a couple of guys on that list too, by the way. Both my Oak Hill little brothers. William Avery, Nolan Smith, Quinn Cook. Got a lot of Duke favorites. I'm sure my UVA family's not happy to hear that.
The college basketball season tips off next Monday, November 4th. Wow, Corey, it is already here. And we have you covered with a triple header right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Number 6 Notre Dame women that started off at 5 Eastern when they take on Mercyhurst. Then we'll have a men's doubleheader. Cooper Flagg leads number 7 Duke against Maine. He grew up in Newport, Maine. And we cap the night with the number 9 Tar Heels hosting Elon. The Nothing But Net crew will have all the highlights and analysis at 11 Eastern. What a way to tip off the season.
Absolutely. Me and my guy Wes Durham will be at Elon, North Carolina.
Tyrese Proctor knocking down the 3, the junior out of Sydney, Australia.
And that's an area where they have to continue to get better with Tyrese Proctor. He's moved primarily off the ball this year, where he's been the point guard for the last 2 seasons. Now will be off the ball more, and John Shire wants to see him become even more of a shooter.
Foul called on Malik Brown. That is his 3rd. As Bashir Jihad will go to the line, the transfer from Ball State. Duke is on a 16-2 run, and one of the concerns Bobby Hurley said to us in shoot-around was his offense. He said, we're still trying to figure things out. Brought in a bunch of guys who were good shooters at their last stops, but in that scrimmage originally against UC Irvine, just haven't seen the touch from the outside early on in the preseason for Arizona State.
But Bobby's been coaching long enough, and of course being a great player in this game, he knows that the offense comes last. And again, when you look at this, with this high-powered Duke team, if you say we're going to come in to Cameron Indoor and with 4 minutes remaining, Duke's only going to have 28 points, I think you're happy with your defense from that standpoint. The problem is they only have 11 points. That's the concern. But the offense will come. In time, guys will become more comfortable in their roles. I believe Bobby will be happy with his defense here in this first half.
Arizona State shooting under 14% from the floor, 0 for 10 from beyond the arc. Tracking down the rebound is Jihad. He's been one of the best players on the floor this first half for Arizona State. Launching a 3, and there's the first one knocked down by the Sun Devils. That's Amir Ali, the freshman from Little Elm, Texas.
I tell you what, Amir Ali was confident in knocking that down too. He could pull it up on transition, not even allowing Duke to get back and build a wall at that line.
Proctor lost his man, and the runner goes. We're seeing guys in the second unit getting some playing time, and John Shire said, I need to see some things out of the guys to see if they're going to be part of the rotation in the regular season.
Yeah, he wanted to make sure all 10 guys got some opportunities in the first half as we see the second made three go off glass. The pregame, we saw some legendary figures here in the Duke basketball program. Coach K, Bobby Hurley, Jon Scheyer, all embracing at midcourt, sharing a special night. With almost 17 minutes played here in this first half, the freshmen have come along very well, John Shriffen. Kaman Malawach with the finish on the first possession of the game, and then Cooper Flagg attacking the basket, going to the left hand, finishing through contact. Kon Knueppel getting in the passing lane, going down, using the strong frame to avoid defenders and finish with the offhand as well. And you have to say that the freshmen are doing just fine here in their final tune-up before the regular season starts next Monday.
Cooper Flagg, 2 of 6 from the floor. He's got 6 points. And Kaman Malawach, he's got 7 rebounds to go along with 6 points. He's one of those guys that Jon Scheyer said we're not looking for scoring out of him. He's a guy who can bring energy, rebound. He's only been playing basketball since he was 13 years old. Grew up playing soccer, so he's got a very high ceiling.
You know, one of the things, and I'll be honest with you, as we see the 3 go down, well, forgive me, that's going to be a 2. But Kaman Malawach reminds me a lot of what we saw from Joel Embiid in college. He was only scratching the surface, didn't play much growing up, and of course got to Kansas and was very good defensively. His offense came along much more so once he got to the NBA level. I believe we could see that type of player in Malawach, who many say in a traditional year may be the #1 pick in the draft. However, I believe Cooper Flagg and my guy Ace Bailey up at Rutgers are going to have a lot to say about that.
He has a very high IQ and got some very big-time experience playing for the Olympic team of South Sudan this summer in Paris. Look out behind you. Poked away by Knueppel. And the lay-in on the other end by Tyrese Proctor.
But you got to have your teammates tell you something. And again, everyone was quiet here because you're in Cameron, so we could hear it because they didn't want to tell on their guy. But the teammates have to tell you something. When you've got someone chasing you down trying to back tap the basketball, your teammates got to let you know someone's behind you.
Offense trying to go through Jihad. Pull up baseline. I like his game.
Yeah, strong finish right there, but more importantly, recognizing the help defender coming over, getting to a spot, raising up, finishing before the help can affect his attempt.
In double figures now, he's got 10 of the 21 points for Arizona State.
And Arizona State starting to pick it up a little bit offensively now, making 4 of their last 6 shots.
1 minute to play here in this first half. Cooper Flagg, and a foul called against Quaintance.
Jihad really facing up, but instead of attacking Malawach, getting to a spot and then finishing over top of Kon Knueppel with the back tap that leads to a nice find from Cooper Flagg to Tyrese Proctor for the easy lay-in.
Everyone around this Duke program talks about just how humble Cooper Flagg is. He's one of those guys who's just excited to be a student on campus. He said, I really can't wait to get to class, to meet my classmates and really experience and get this full college experience at Duke.
Starts at home. Kelly and Ralph Flagg have raised him very well. And again, I can tell you this, Kelly don't play. She is not the mom to be taken lightly. She does not play, and she makes it very clear that Cooper gets his basketball game from her. He gets the height from Ralph, but he gets the game from Kelly, who was an all-time great at Maine. Speaking of Maine, they are high on the list of another highly touted recruit in the North Carolina area, playing at Greensboro Day by the name of Ace Flagg, who happens to be the twin brother of Cooper, 1 minute older than Cooper. My guy Ace didn't make the trip down today. They had team pictures, so shout out to my young guy who's at home watching right now. And Cooper's probably his biggest competitor.
Well, family rivalry, nothing wrong with that.
Oh, yes.
So they stop play on the floor as the officials come over to talk to Bobby Hurley.
I believe Jihad I don't know if he has blood or
might have got poked in the eye. So a break in the action as they check on Jihad. All right, let's see what happened.
Yeah, he's took a couple of elbows there, and one from his own teammate. As Amir Ali looked to be the culprit there, guys just going for the rebound.
.8 to play here in this first half. Saturday morning, the ACC Huddle crew will get ready for the day from the campus at SMU with a 60-minute pregame show leading into Stanford versus NC State at noon. They'll also have halftime shows and pre- and post-game shows throughout the day. Then they're back at 6:30 to wrap up the afternoon with highlights and analysis and to get you set for Pitt versus SMU at 8 o'clock. After the game, stay right here on ACC Network for a full post-game show to wrap up the night. Well, Arizona State has picked it up offensively. Started the game just 3 of 22 from the floor, but have hit their last 4 shots. Let's see what they come out here with coming out of the huddle.
And Duke going to a trapping defense, trying to force a turnover on the possession, force a quick shot, and come away with the stop.
It's Cooper Flagg with the board.
Great job manipulating the screen and roll, and more importantly, using the clock by Caleb Foster there to get a bucket.
Rising up at the horn. That one halfway down, but comes out for Alston Mason. It is Duke with a 37-21 lead over Arizona State here in this exhibition game as we take a look at the freshman for Duke. #1 recruiting class in the country, Corey.
And they've shown up here this evening so far. But the thing about college basketball, it's only one half. They've got to do it again in the second half.
Jon Scheyer in his 3rd season at the helm of Duke. The return of Bobby Hurley. What a first half for the Duke Blue Devils. We're at the half. Let's send it to the studio with Justin Walters and Seth Greenberg. Welcome back inside Cameron Indoor Stadium. Corey Alexander, I'm John Schriffen. Well, we've got to talk about the freshman. #1 recruiting class in the country for Duke, and the freshmen, they showed off in that first half.
They absolutely did, and it started with Kamen Malawach. We know the name Cooper Flagg, but you got to see what the big guy's doing, manning the paint on both ends of the floor defensively, then offensively finishing around the rim. Didn't start in the first exhibition game, but now making his presence felt in the starting lineup. Cooper Flagg, you know the name, you know the game. You're going to see a lot of it all season long. And then Kon Knueppel attacking, using the offhand to finish. The freshman finishing with 17 points for the Blue Devils in the first half.
On the other side, the 17-year-old freshman, Jaden Quaintance, we wanted to see what he could do. He also showed up.
Yeah, homecoming for Jaden Quaintance from nearby Raleigh, North Carolina, and he went to work in the first half, attacking off the bounce, showing off his ball handling ability and his ability to finish at the rim throughout this entire first half of the game. Look forward to seeing much more from Jaden Quaintance here in the second.
It's amazing how his body is just so put together for his age. He can bang with the best of them already here.
Yeah, you see 2 McDonald's All-Americans, Quaintance and Cooper Flagg, both having productive first halves in this game here so far. Jaden Quaintance going to need to get some help from his friends if they want to find a way to win this final tune-up exhibition game here against the Blue Devils.
Arizona State shot under 14% for most of that first half, but in the final 5 minutes, they started to put things together offensively to make this one a closer game.
And that's one of the things, you and I talked to Bobby Hurley about it earlier today. When you walk into this building as an opponent, there is an awe about it. You hear about Cameron Indoor, you hear about Duke. I believe it took the Arizona State team a little bit of time to get settled in. So it'll be interesting to see how they attack this second half if they feel more comfortable against this Duke defense.
Bobby Hurley talked about that with his guys. He said, I tried to scare them. He said, in order to win this game, we're going to have to play harder than Duke in their building. Here's Caleb Foster, the sophomore. And he'll be fouled on the arm by Adam Miller and get a trip to the free throw line. For Miller, that's his first foul.
In my opinion, I believe Caleb Foster, Tyrese Proctor, they're going to be the X factors for the Blue Devils this year. I believe you know what you're going to get from Con Knipple and Cooper Flagg, because even though they're freshmen, they're very mature freshmen and they're consistent in what they do. Caleb Foster has the ability to be a knockdown shooter, but transitioning more so to the primary ball handler, where Tyrese Proctor has been that for the last 2 years. So moving him off the ball, allowing him to show off his shooting prowess, because if you think about with Con Knipple on the floor and those two guards, if they're firing on all cylinders, you're talking about a dangerous team from beyond the three-point arc.
Jon Scheyer told us he wants to see Caleb Foster play more instinctually. How does that show up on the floor?
Well, it just shows up by making quick decisions like what we saw in the last possession. When you catch the basketball, you just make a quick move in comparison to thinking about what you should be doing, which is what he did a lot as a freshman a season ago. Now you just go out and hoop.
Foul is on Phillips. That is his third, so he did not get many minutes in that first half. The 7-footer for Arizona State because of foul trouble. But he will stay on the floor with 3. Pick and roll with the freshman, throwing it up top. And that was the 7-footer. Phillips affecting that one. Here come the Sun Devils. Mason, the senior transfer from Missouri State, started his career at Oklahoma, played 2 years at Missouri State, led the team in scoring last season, and now finishing out here with Arizona State. Quaintance on the block, and that one is swatted. Malawach, another rejection, and he is fired up.
And you can see the resistance that the Blue Devils can have at the rim. Cooper Flagg is a good shot blocker, but it seems to be Kamen Malawach is a great shot blocker. And sitting in the paint, you don't know he's back there, but look at the wingspan, the timing, the ability to go up and affect shots on the defensive end of the floor adds a different dimension to this Blue Devil squad.
Jon Scheyer said we've had to simplify things for Malawach to make sure that he knows what his role is on the floor. As they find it to him inside, can't finish, gets his own miss and puts it back and in.
And as the year goes along, and most likely Duke only has Kamen Malawach for about 9 months, right? As the year goes along, he'll dunk the first one. He won't take the chance, bother laying it up. He'll just go dunk it the first time and figure it out. And that's one of the things you see with freshmen as they become more mature and more confident, he'll make those plays.
Freeman with the shot clock winding down. It's at 3. Good defense by Knipple, right in his grill, and he forces the miss. Flagg steps into one. Out ahead, nice catch in traffic, but cannot finish. Is Quaintance. He gets the air ball and puts it up and in, plus the foul. That is something they talk about, an active motor for Jaden Quaintance.
Yeah, great job by Quaintance continuing to play on that possession. Missed the layup, but didn't put his head down and give up one. It continues to play through the action, comes up with the offensive rebound, the put back through the contact, and opportunity for a three-point play.
Foul called against Malawach, his first. As Quaintance misses from the line. Malawach now with 8 rebounds to go along with 8 points for the Duke freshman. Knipple using the screen, and he nails the 3. Scheyer says he is the best shooter on the team this season.
And that's saying a lot because Caleb Foster's a knockdown shooter, so that's high praise for Con Knipple, but you love the way he doesn't hesitate, catches it in the shooting pocket, all ready to let it go fly.
How about that screen by Cooper Flagg? Quaintance gets the clear out, uses the spin move. Flagg with the help D, and he forces the miss. Extra pass, Knipple with 2 in his face. It doesn't matter. Knocks down his second 3-ball in a row, and a timeout on the floor.
They are going to love him here at Cameron Indoor Stadium, because you're going to see so many coaches have to call a timeout after you see Kon Knipple in transition knock down a 3 as such.
The freshman Kon Knipple starting to heat up from beyond the arc. He's got 10 points in double figures now.
But you can see how dangerous Duke can be in a set situation. You see the play run to get Kon Knipple a look from 3. He buries it, but on the next play, Duke getting out in transition. Knipple confident, doesn't give you much time to get out there and react to him defensively. Knocks down a second 3 from a very familiar spot.
Duke leading in fast break points, 13-0. As they've opened up a 47-23 lead here in the second half. Active hands, scrum on the floor. Cooper Flagg ahead of the pack. Hello! Nine points for Flagg. Wild shot. And they're just bodies everywhere.
And the highlight will show Cooper Flagg with the dunk, but you have to look at what Tyrese Proctor does defensively. Not only coming up with the steal, but getting on the floor after the loose ball and finding Cooper Flagg out in front. You'll love the dunk by Flagg, but Jon Scheyer will much more prefer that effort defensively by Tyrese Proctor.
Corey, this is just an exhibition, but it certainly doesn't feel like it. Knipple fouled plus the 3. The Cameron Crazies are going to love Kon Knipple this season.
But that's why it doesn't feel like it, because here at Cameron Indoor Stadium, when you step on this floor, it doesn't matter if it's exhibition, if it's a playoff game, call it what you want. They are going to give you everything they have in this building from the fan standpoint, and they're expecting that from you when you step between those 4 lines wearing that DUKE across the front of your uniform.
He's from the Midwest, from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He brings that blue-collar, smart toughness to the floor every time, whether it's practice or the game. And he's starting to feel it now. The pressure, getting another turnover for the Blue Devils.
And you're looking for him right now. He's the hot hand. You got the license to take.
Proctor, nothing but nylon.
And Kon Knipple recognizing the defense, making sure that he doesn't get another look. Draws 2. Finds Tyrese Proctor, who's able to knock down a 3.
He's now in double figures with 10 as they are sharing the rock. Jihad. And a foul called before the block. Gotta love this energy inside Cameron Indoor Stadium. It's an exhibition, but it feels like we're getting ready for the regular season. Can't wait. College hoops is back, baby. The dynasty here at Duke started back in 1991 with Bobby Hurley at the point, winning 2 national championships, and Jon Scheyer's team hanging their national championship banner in 2010. Both of them have known each other for so long. Jon Scheyer said, "I've always been a fan of Bobby Hurley. He's everything that Duke is about." We stayed in touch, and Bobby Hurley was the one who actually came to Jon Scheyer and said, "Why don't we play a game? Why don't I come back?" And it was his idea originally. And Jon Scheyer said, "I love it. It's the best way for our team to play high-level competition, and also a way to honor someone who did so many great things for this Duke program."
And both these guys have so much in common. When you consider both fiery competitors, both point guards, playing under Coach K, and have learned so much from the godfather of this game. And Coach K doesn't show up to many games here at Cameron. Still has his office upstairs, but he made sure to be a part of this weekend with Bobby Hurley coming in to make sure that Bobby and everyone around him knew how special, how important Bobby Hurley was and has been to this Duke program.
So a lane violation, that is no good. Coach K not only showing it for the game tonight, he was here yesterday for practice when Arizona State first came onto the floor. He stayed late for a dinner to meet with the donors of Arizona State and anyone who bought a ticket here in the local Durham area. That's what Bobby Hurley means so much to Coach K. He's one of his favorite players of all time.
Absolutely is that. I asked Coach K years ago what player that he's coached reminded him of himself as a player. And he immediately said Bobby Hurley.
Con Knippel. You better put a hand in his face. You might need 4 hands.
I tell you what, he is quickly becoming a favorite here amongst the Cameron Crazies, because when you can shoot the basketball like this, that means you're a run starter. You're the guy that forces the other teams to call timeouts when you get out in transition. So there's going to be a lot of cheering for Con Knippel, because he doesn't need plays run for him to get looks. You just give him an inch, he can take care of you.
He is 4 for 4 from beyond the arc this half, as Quaintance puts it in, plus the foul. The fall seasons are ending soon, and we'll have 4 ACC championships for you. Our coverage of the men's and women's cross-country races begins November 1st. That's at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. The women's soccer championship gets underway on Sunday the 3rd. Then on November 5th, the field hockey quarterfinals begin. And Wednesday the 6th, the men's soccer championship starts. ACC Network is the home of ACC championships.
Shrift, Arizona State has scored 6 points in the second half. Jaden Quaintance has 5 of them. Again, they have not been able to really get anything going against this Duke team defensively. And Duke comes off the bench with even better defenders as Mason Gillis knocks down the 3. But when you throw Zion James, Mason Gillis, and Malik Brown in the lineup, they get even better defensively. They don't have the same rim protection with Malawach in the painted area, but defensively on the perimeter, they are spectacular.
There's James on the D right now, on the block. Going against Jihad. And that one is taken away by Tyrese Proctor. Jon Scheyer said, I want to play faster. On a miss, we are pushing everything this season. And Knippel, that is his first miss from beyond the arc this half. But he gets it back and lays it in.
But he got it back because he didn't concede the rebound to Arizona State. He just goes in almost as though there's a loose ball and blows it up. And somehow or another, the ball pops into the hands of Malik Brown, who finds Knippel for the easy layup.
Knippel now leads all scorers corner now with 19 points.
But he misses the 3 in the corner, but watch as the ball comes off the rim. He just gives up his body, runs into everyone in there. It's a loose ball, which means there's no one's possession. And all of a sudden, he just finds himself in the right place at the right time for the easy layup.
And it's amazing. We talked about the freshman Cooper Flagg coming into the night, but it's his fellow freshman, Con Knippel, stealing the spotlight. Taylor Foster back on the floor. Will run the point for the Blue Devils.
And you bring in Darren Harris, another elite shooter coming in off the bench. And he's the guy that Jon Scheyer talked to us about in Harris. He said, listen, he's that good. We've got to find a way to get him minutes. But who do you take off the floor? I mean, again, these are good problems to have. But part of the challenge for Jon Scheyer this entire season will be managing personalities, making sure he's having those conversations with his guys, because you're going to have high-level players that don't get many minutes on certain nights. But you've got to make sure they continue to be confident when their number's called.
Look at Zion James. He's a guy they can put in as the point because he's such a good distributor. Jon Scheyer said we saw him on tape in the transfer portal, but he's a better passer than we ever anticipated as that 3 comes out off the hands of Mason Gillis. Joson San, another highly recruited freshman out of Saxon Rivers, Vermont. Miller from the elbow, and his jumper goes.
And that's a guy that Bobby Hurley needs to have some offensive production for Arizona State to be successful this season. Their second leading scorer last year. And he's a guy that's going to have to provide the perimeter punch for them in order to get that offense going.
Foster wheeling, dealing in the paint. And that one thrown off of Foster. Ali trying to get by his man.
Great job.
Forced that one.
But a great job defensively, that entire possession by Darren Harris. He helped on the other side of the lane, recovered out, closed out, forcing his guy off the three-point line, did a great job staying in front of him. Those are the type of plays that get you more minutes.
Look at the extra passing. Sion James, the Tulane transfer, knocks down the three.
Great ball movement, great recognition by Malik Brown in the paint to not try to force a shot, kicks it to the corner, and then that one more extra pass from Gillis to James, who knocks down the three ball.
Here's James defensively. He played 4 years at Tulane playing a zone, but they've loved the way he's adjusted to playing man D here at Duke.
Sion James spent some time with us at the Chris Paul, Jason Tatum camp in Vegas this summer, along with Con Knipple. And he showed us, hey, he's a guy, he's a man, no question about it. And you see the versatility of him being able to play the point guard position, but he's a guy that also could step in and guard post players.
A block is called against Arizona State, as Duke continues to pour it on with 11:23 to play here in this second half of the Brotherhood Run exhibition.
Con Knipple has had himself a second half for the Blue Devils, getting started with a nice set play to get him a look, knock down the three ball, and on the next possession, in transition, a three from a very familiar spot, and that just got the fire started. A 4-point play for Knipple coming off the screen, and then one more for good measure, knocks down his fourth three-point field goal of the second half alone. Now leads the Blue Devils with 19 points, 15 of those coming here in the second stanza.
Duke as a team was just 2 of 11 from beyond the arc in that first half. 7 for 10 from beyond the arc here in this second half.
And this is a team, I mean, again, you're talking about freshmen, right? This young man at the line right now, Darren Harris, a freshman who is another elite shooter. And the thing for him is, again, right now, Con Knipple is ahead of him. You can see that by Con getting the starting spot and also getting more minutes. But how do you keep guys like this confident and ready when their number's called? That's going to be the challenge for Jon Scheyer this year.
Explain that, because there's so many young players who equate how well they're playing with the amount of minutes that they're getting. So if you know a guy's not going to get many minutes, how do you keep his confidence up?
Well, one thing John talked to us about earlier today was he's in constant communication with each one of these guys who are getting a lot of minutes, but more importantly, the guys who are not, and keeping them, you know, making sure that their confidence stays up, knowing that you're only one injury away from being a starter, from being a 30-minute per game guy. And so making sure that when your number is called and you're ready, because it happens with each team every year, that you're ready to perform when you get those opportunities.
Foster probing, picking up his dribble inside. Malik Brown. Extra pass to the corner, pump fake by B.J. Freeman. And Adam Miller, he is a catch and shoot guy, but can't hit the three. 10th rebound now for the freshman Malawach. Kick out, Foster, and he rattles in another three ball.
And we talk about elite shooters. He's another one. And then with the ability of Sion James to be able to come in and play the point, now Caleb Foster can move off the basketball and show a lot of his prowess from beyond the three-point arc. I coached Caleb when he was a sophomore in high school at Oak Hill, and we used to go back to the old Lamar Mundane days where when he catch it wide open, I yelling lay up, because you know what's going to happen. That's how good of a shooter he was.
Sion James, they went under the screen and he makes them pay.
You're forced to shoot it. You saw it. You go under, you have to shoot the basketball. Sion James showing that he has that ability as well.
Alston Mason, that one rimming out. And not much falling for Arizona State here tonight. Everybody getting in on the action. You said it. Caleb Foster, the layup from downtown.
So when I heard Jon Scheyer talk about Con Knipple and how he was the best shooter on the team, I originally started to think about Caleb Foster and how that affects, because I know how good Caleb Foster can shoot the basketball, but it's a lot of shooting on this team. You start talking Darren Harris. There he goes again. Oh, wait a minute. I got to stop talking about it for a second. You can't shoot a wide open air ball, Caleb.
Freeman with a hand in his face, and he will knock down the three. Just the 4th three tonight for Arizona State. If you're the Sun Devils, what can you take away from a game like this?
Well, Bobby Hurley wasn't necessarily happy with the offense in their scrimmage against UC Irvine. So I believe it's going to be similar to this with the way the offense is performed. What you take away from it is this is the level of competition that you're going to face in the Big 12. And so as he mentioned to us earlier, they have to step up their effort level. In order to be able to come in and compete with Duke in this setting, you have to play harder than they have. And I can't say that throughout this game Arizona State has played harder than Duke. Duke has played harder and they played better. And I'm sure that's one of the things that Bobby Hurley will communicate to his team when they're watching this film.
Bobby Hurley told us in practice, he said, essentially we have 7 starters. And I've got to figure out who are the most consistent 5 of those 7. But he said at some point I might go to 4 guards to see what that looks like. He's going to switch things up to try to be ready for the regular season. Head fake, Isaiah Evans on the floor. And the 3 falls. That's Darren Harris talking about keeping his confidence up, knocking the 3.
And you see Isaiah Evans, a McDonald's All-American, coming in not getting many minutes, but yet ready when his number is called.
And out of bounds, another turnover against Arizona State. Something about these Virginia kids, right, Corey?
I mean, there's 3 of them on Duke's roster. I mean, just for the record, I had to go count them earlier today. I was like, a lot of guys from VA on the roster. You know, the state puts out a lot of talent. Let me just say that.
I threw it up there for you. Duke is 11 of 17 from beyond the arc here in this second half. James make that 12 of 18 from beyond the arc. And Sion James off the bench, he now has 9.
And with the way that Duke will be able to defend this season, if they shoot the basketball like this, they could be hanging a 6 banner. I mean, let's call it what it is. This is the most talented team in the country. And so in the way that they're going to defend each and every night, and you have to because you have so much depth on the team, everyone has to defend to get playing time. Look at Slim, a.k.a. Isaiah Evans, as he gets a bucket. They've got more than enough offense on this squad, so you have to defend to be able to get on the floor.
Now, I have seen some talented teams already in this country. Number 1, Kansas was on the road at Arkansas Friday night, and Arkansas looked really good getting the win. Although Hunter Dickinson didn't play, Kansas was shorthanded in that exhibition game. It is raining threes in Cameron Indoor Stadium. It's the Purdue transfer, Mason Gillis. He now has 10.
And not only do you bring in transfers, you bring in transfers with experience. Mason Gillis played in the national championship game last year. It doesn't get any more experience than that.
Here's a steal. Darren Harris goes reverse and lays it in.
And so when you start talking about the most talented teams in the country, right? No disrespect to my guy Julius Hodge and Lincoln. But what Duke is doing right now, they're up 51. This is not a Division II team. They're playing against a Big 12 team in Arizona State. And you've got a guy who may be number 9 or 10 on the depth chart, and Darren Harris coming up with the steal and going reverse layup, the finish. He'd be a starter anywhere else. It is raining threes in Cameron Indoor Stadium. Con Knipper got the party started, but so many different guys have gotten involved in the action. Mason Gillis knocking down the 3. The one more pass. Sion James finding the range. Caleb Foster getting himself in the shooting range, able to knock down the 3 ball. The Blue Devils 13 of 17 from beyond the 3-point arc here in this second half as Darren Harris knocks down the 3 ball. And you look at everyone getting involved in the mix. And when you have this many shooters on the floor, Now that starts to open things up so much more for Cooper Flagg, for Kamau Malawach, for the interior players for the Duke Blue Devils to be able to play one-on-one against their matchups, because you can't help from anyone on the perimeter.
Started talking about Mason Gillis, a guy who had been to the national championship last year. The year before that was bounced out of the first round, and with all that experience at Purdue, he's a guy who's been to a place that no one on this roster has been to before. So when he stepped on campus, he had that instant respect from all of his teammates, and they look up to him as one of the leaders early on this team.
Absolutely, and again, that's one of the things, especially for a freshman coming into this type of environment, to have that guy who's been through it all before. He's seen the highs, he's seen the lows as to what college basketball can bring, and can speak to that experience of how each and every day is important in building a championship level team.
Evans trying to go to work, has that one swatted by Amir Ali. We approach 6 minutes to play here in this game.
And Duke now into a zone defensively, showing the versatility. You got Malik Brown playing at the front of it.
There's Gillis with the rebound.
It may not have actually been a zone. It just looked like a zone because he was so far in help.
Evans, you get a three. You get a three. Corey, you get a three.
So when we start talking about the most talented teams in the country, this guy is an elite level scorer, McDonald's All-American coming off the bench, and he is fighting for playing time. But again, when you can make shots, as it seems that everyone on this roster can do, you'll find your way on the court. Jon Scheyer says it's virtually impossible for him to play 10. I'm not sure if these guys don't force him to have to play 10 guys because they're all performing at such a high level.
Now you remember Jon Scheyer in his second year as a player at Duke. He said we had units of 5 guys getting subbed out consistently, and he said it was tough to experience that as a player, and he doesn't want to be forced to do that as a coach, but with all this talent, he might have to.
He may not have much choice. When you got this much talent, sometimes you got to be a little unconventional, and Coach K did that back in 2007 in John's second year. He may have to experiment with this some to make sure that he keeps all these guys ready to go when their number's called.
A 12-0 run by Duke. They are winning this second half by 40 points. Gillis, what a head fake, but couldn't finish. Evans, turnaround jumper. Under 4 minutes to play. Oh, behind the back pass. We see you, Amir Ali.
Amir Ali has had some productive offensive possessions in this game, something that Bobby Hurley can take back and show some positives of what Amir Ali's been able to do. Knocked down a couple threes in this one and been aggressive offensively. And again, as you mentioned, trying to find that rotation. This is great for both these coaches to see who's going to show up.
How about that in and out dribble by James, getting all the way to the rack. He now has 13 points off the bench for Duke.
Okay, it is a zone. We can call it a zone. That has been bothering me for a second, but it is actually a zone, and something I'm sure that Coach Scheyer doesn't want to use a lot of throughout this year, but without a true shot blocker on the floor with this group, you want to be able to do that. But, of course, when you've got Kamau Malawach on the floor, I'm sure you're going to be man-to-man, allowing him to man the paint.
Harris launching. Misses everything. Now, you know, to get on the floor at Duke, you got to defend. But everything going into the second half for Duke.
But not everything going great for the Blue Devils as we get an opportunity to see the celebration afterwards. Don't leave my man Coop hanging.
See, what had happened was...
You ready?
Well, the ever-changing landscape in college athletics. Let's get you updated on the conference editions. In the ACC, Cal, SMU, who got a big win in football over Duke here on campus last night at Stanford. Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah additions to the Big 12. So a big step up in competition for the Sun Devils as we take a look at the ACC preseason poll. And Duke, #1 predicted to finish in the ACC this season.
And this year's Duke team, a lot similar to what Jon Scheyer did in year 1 defensively, the ability to switch everything and put pressure on you, I think separates them. But North Carolina, I believe, will be there when it's all said and done. Wake Forest, looking forward to this year with Steve Forbes' group to be able to see if they can get over the top, get into the NCAA tournament. Of course, we know what Clemson did a season ago. Virginia coming in at 5. And now I have to say that this preseason poll was done at Basketball Media Day, October the 9th, 10th, before Tony Bennett decided to retire from coaching. I'm not sure if people would pick the same way without Tony Bennett on the sideline. That's going to be interesting to see how's that go. And of course, Miami looking for a resurgent year. I believe the Pitt Panthers are better than 7, and I believe NC State is better than 8. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all works out this year.
And here's the bottom of the ACC preseason poll. With Notre Dame at 10, Virginia Tech 14, and Boston College rounding out the 18 teams in the ACC. Harris has that one swatted by Brandon Gardner. He's the USC transfer off the bench. And Cameron Sheffield, the graduate transfer from Rice, will go to the free throw line. And how about it? Bobby Hurley, the son of the coach. He was 10 years old when Bobby Hurley, his father, was coaching at Arizona State, his first game, and now here he is on the floor as a senior.
And Bobby Hurley Jr., of course, started his career at Arizona State as a walk-on, but earned a scholarship. And not because he's the coach's son, but because his teammates felt as though he deserved that from what he did in practice every day. And that's got to make you feel good as a dad. Because I'm sure, and let me tell you this, Bobby Hurley played for his dad, okay, legendary coach Bobby Hurley Sr. And I can tell you for certain, Bobby Hurley Sr. did not take it easy on his sons, Bobby or Danny Hurley, or who goes by Dan now. I forget, I got to say that. But I'm sure Bobby Hurley did not make it easy for his son playing for him at Arizona State.
Bryson Long also into the game. Jordan Williams off the bench as well. So guys who put in all the heart and soul and sweat into practice, getting some minutes here to finish off this game here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. And for Duke, Neil Begovich, the Stanford transfer, is on the floor, as well as the walk-on Spencer Hubbard.
So, Shrift, I'm going to give you a little trivia question, but I'm going to give you the answer along with it. High school teams, ACC legends, that played in the first ever ESPN nationally televised high school game.
Okay.
All right. 2 guys that played in the ACC both have their jerseys retired at their respective schools. Jersey City, St. Anthony's, and Flint Hill Prep. Bobby Hurley versus Randolph Childress.
Excuse me, Spencer Hubbard off the bench, just put in the bucket, and the Cameron Crazies are going nuts.
A crowd favorite here, of course, Spencer Hubbard, I believe the only player on the roster under 6'5".
Correct.
But you see has a much bigger game than his stature.
How about this for an exhibition atmosphere inside Cameron Indoor Stadium with Bobby Hurley making his first return being a head coach. Duke will take a shot clock violation. And it's not over just yet with .1 on the clock. And the officials say, you know what? It's an exhibition. Let's just end this one. Duke, the number 7 team in the country, with a dominant 103-47 win over Arizona State.
Dominating defensive performance by the Blue Devils. Did a great job passing lanes, pressuring defensively, and allowing that defense to turn into offense, which in the second half came from beyond the 3-point arc.
All the freshmen were impressive for Duke. For my partner, Corey Alexander, I'm John Schriffen. We appreciate you joining us here inside Cameron Indoor Stadium. We talked about Cooper Flagg coming on air, but the freshman, Kon Knueppel, stole the show. Duke, they are on to some special things this season. Let's go to the studio for the postgame with Justin Walters and my guy, Seth Greenberg.
Complete domination.